Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this June 18th, 2024 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's board meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. If you would like closed captioning during the meeting, you'll have to manually change your settings, click on the captions button and select show captions. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door, and it is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it back over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you, Aaron. I now call this June 18th, 2024 regular meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Here.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Present.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas and Commissioner Jeff Smers have excused absences today. And then the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Matt McDonald, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Brent Schlack, Director of Operations Adam Leip, and Director of Finance Dan Ackerman.
Thank you very much. Please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Support.
Any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved as presented. We have two sets of minutes today to accept. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of June 4th, 2024 as presented on pages 3 through 12.
So move.
Support.
Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the June 4th regular meeting minutes are approved. May I have a motion to accept the closed session minutes of June 4th, 2024? Commissioners received them at their places today.
So move.
Support.
Any comments or questions about these minutes? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the closed session minutes of June 4th are accepted as presented. Next, we have report of our county commission liaisons. I see that Commissioner Caroline Sanders of District 4 is present. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Chair Fuller and Road Commission board members. I don't have anything to add, just to let you know that we are now in summer session. So we only meet once a month now through August. The first Wednesday, and I've been thumbing through. I believe we moved the July 3rd to July 10th because of the holiday. The only other thing I want to add is that I hope that our road commission employees are being pampered and taken care of in this 100-degree weather for the next week or so. So thank you for allowing me to share with you. Hope everyone is well.
Thank you for checking in, Commissioner. We appreciate it. And I assure you, we have check, double check that our crews out there working in this heat are fully hydrated and taking breaks as our district leaders indicate they're needed. Thank you for your concern. Commissioner Light is not with us. Is that correct?
That is correct. Commissioner Light she and her family had a medical situation, so she is not going to be able to join us today.
Very good. Please give her our best, Commissioner.
I will. Thank you.
Next, we have public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board, and Aaron will explain how people may be recognized to offer remarks. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. And then please share your name and address before beginning your comments. And then for our in-person attendees, we will start with those who signed up on the sign-in sheet. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. Our communications manager will notify you when it is your turn.
Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any public members wishing to comment. Is that correct? I see no one in the room.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Have anyone online? Okay, very good. We will move on. New business, consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion 7.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Written communication.
Oh, thank you. My fellow commissioners are keeping me in line. Next up, we have written communications on page 13 through 16. Yes. Any items you wish to bring to our attention, Commissioner McCollum, since she set me straight, and Commissioner Green following?
Yes, I just wanted to comment on page 16. Miss Calvert wrote a letter, a complimentary letter to the Road Commission, and I really like that. It's just wonderful when people congratulate the Road Commission staff for the hard work that they do.
Duly noted. Thank you, Commissioner Green.
And also like to thank Ms. Calvert for that letter of encouragement and job well done by our staff as it relates to the intersection of Miller and Zeke Road.
Very good. Duly noted. Now then, we did not have any public comments, so there's no response needed to that. New business consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 10?
So moved.
Support.
The motions appear on pages 17 through 21, background on pages 23 through 59. Discussion. Managing Director, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity to comment. Wanted to draw your commissioner's attention to item 3, the 2024 York Township Fourth Agreement. This is a unique agreement where a township partner is willing to partner with us to improve a primary road. So this is a great partnership over the years that have been cultivated with both our engineering operations staff working with York Township. In this case, they are looking to improve 2 segments of Platte Road, which they have offered to pay 50% for. We are absolutely thrilled that they're willing to do that, and we'll match that. As part of this agreement, we'll go ahead and with the board's approval of this item, we'll make a budget adjustment in Q2 in July, and then the project could get started after we make that budget adjustment. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Great partnership. They've done this previously on Saline Milan Road and different segments of Platte Road where they have desired to improve things. And we just didn't have a project identified in the short term, and they're willing to step forward and say, we'd like to pay for half, and we've done that. It's very similar to the culvert program, where the road commission has in the past, if there's a culvert need on a local road, we're willing to put 50% forward. So it's not unprecedented that this happens, but it doesn't happen that often because oftentimes there's just so many needs and only so much funding.
And this is a primary road,
A primary road,
particularly appreciated.
absolutely. Any questions on that? Okay,
Anything else there, Matt, that you
There
want
is one other one, certainly, if we turn our attention to the next item, which is item 4. This is a agreement that's been in the works for quite some time. Amazon is developing plans for a distribution center located on Carpenter Road, south of I-94, north of US 12. It's on the west side of the road. They've got preliminary site plan approval. They're working towards final site plan approval. And a piece of that is getting permits through our office. Mark McCullough and his staff have been working very closely with the developer, who's making plans for this distribution center, has obviously some impacts from a traffic perspective. We've got signalization of several of their driveways on Carpenter Road. And then also, because of the trucking and coming from various locations, that we anticipate them using a portion of Morgan Road. That portion of Morgan Road is currently unpaved. So as part of the agreement, they're going to pave Morgan Road from where it ends today to US 12. And so that's all in the road improvement agreement. Took a lot of time and energy to get in, to work through all those issues. But I think we're ready to obviously approve, and then ultimately the developer for the site is responsible for making all these improvements, and they post a security with us as part of the agreement to make sure that the improvements happen. And then our staff will inspect all those things.
So this is on this is east of 23, but on the west side of
Correct.
Carpenter. Okay.
Correct.
Any questions about that for our managing director?
Okay.
All right. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for those background statements. Anything else, Matt?
No.
No?
Nothing further.
Okay. I believe we had a first and a second, didn't we, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Anything further, commissioners? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. The consent agenda, 10 items there are approved as presented. Excuse me. We have one action item. May I have a motion to approve action agenda item number 1 to vote for directors of the Michigan County Road Commission Self-Insurance Pool, otherwise known as McCrison. The motion appears on page 22, ballots describing all of the candidates on page 62 and 70, further background on pages 60 through 77. Motion, please.
Madam Chair, the board hereby votes for W.C. Askew Senior and Timothy Hagsma to serve as the Southern Directors, 3-year term ending 2027, and Patricia Loosemore to serve as the at-large Director, 3-year term ending 2027 on the Michigan County Road Commission Self-Insurance Pool Board of Directors.
Second.
Support.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Don't make me help you, Rod. Any discussion on this at all?
Just one, just kind of curious why we're not supporting the incumbent Timothy Elkins.
There actually were 2 incumbents, it looks like, on that.
Yes, or,
Okay, the other one.
just kind of curious about that.
I would defer to our managing director who did a little background investigating.
Yes, so we talked with Gail and others, and we obviously, they do good work, but we want to give an opportunity for those that are well positioned for serving. These candidates, we felt very strongly that they would represent us well. So other than that, ultimately the decision is yours, but this is our recommendation.
I'll defer.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Any questions, Commissioner? No, no, I'm good. Okay. All right. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. we have approved action item number 1 as described by Commissioner McCollum. Next, we have reports of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner Green.
Thank you. On the 10th of June, I attended a luncheon which was hosted by the Ann Arbor Ypsilanti Chamber of Commerce, where House Speaker Joe Tate was the featured speaker, along with Madam Chair and our Managing Director, Matt McDaniel. It was very well attended, good program. I have nothing further.
That concludes your report?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Thank you.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, Madam Chair, on May 5th, I attended the Road Plus event in Lansing. On June 11th, I attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec meeting. The comprehensive master plan for the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec was updated and presented. In that plan, there's a survey that was conducted by the ETC Institute. One of the things it showed was a need for more trail connectivity. It was suggested by the consulting firm that a map of the border-to-border trails not only show the trails and the planned trails, but also hearing from the community that there should be additional trails of interest added onto the border-to-border trails map. From the Road Commissioners Committee, we have completed a draft of the 2024 Commissioners Conference schedule. The conference will be on September 22nd to 24th at the Treetops Resort in Gaylord, Michigan, and I will be the monitor for the special presentation of the 2024 CRA County Road Association and Press Award winners. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I will report that on June 5th, I also attended the Roads Plus Legislative Luncheon in Lansing, along with Commissioner McCollum. The offices of Washtenaw County state legislators were visited, and a road commissioner business card was hand-delivered to each of them. I noted that State Representative Jimmy Wilson Jr. of the 32nd House District was in attention. Do you remember any of the others?
I don't.
Being there. Okay, I didn't see others either. On June 10th, I attended the A2Y Chamber Luncheon also, along with Commissioner Green and our Managing Director, Matt McDaniel. Joe Tate, Speaker of the Michigan House of Representatives, gave the keynote address. On June 12th, I attended the quarterly meeting of the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study, known as WATS. Please note that there is no July Policy Committee meeting of WATS. At that meeting, we approved the 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan. Special thanks to Brent Schlack and Matt McDaniel for their advice on approving that document. MDOT interestingly provided an update on the 2027 plans for US 23 between I-94 and Earhart Road. 4 bridges are scheduled for replacement. M17, which we know as Washtenaw Avenue, over the next one over the Huron River. Actually, aren't there 2 over the Huron River? But it's the bridges over the Huron River, the bridge over Packard, and the bridge over Earhart Road. There will be 4 of them. A future presentation to this body will be scheduled, and I've asked our managing director to look into that. On the same afternoon, it was my turn to be on the chat session. We had no visitors. And that evening, I attended the quarterly meeting of the Southwest Washtenaw Council of Governments at the Freedom Township Hall. Road concerns were noted, and I forwarded them to the managing director, and I'm very pleased to say every one of them has been addressed. And I think there were 7 of them, ranging from please put up a sign that says the speed limit restriction going out of Manchester to the west is done, and another one about the beavers that are blocking our culverts and raising the water level in one of the local lakes. On June 15th, it was a Saturday, attended the Dexter Forum, and also then a Touch a Truck event at the Saline Farm Council grounds. Our organization was well represented by Adam Late, Director of Operations, Ken Harris, Superintendent, and Jeff Grau, Group Leader of District 1. We had a lot of visitors and nice conversations. Adam did a great job of explaining what the 3 bins, right? Salt, grit, and a mixture were. We actually had a lot of questions about, so what's this? The kids got their hands in it. The adults were a little more reserved and didn't. And Jeff did a great job with lifting all of the kids in and out of the big orange truck. So we had a good time. It was a beautiful day. On June 17th, yesterday, I attended the Roads Plus Board of Trustees meeting in Lansing. And further, I want to acknowledge the perfect attendance in this first half of the year by Commissioners Joanne McCollum and Commissioner Roderick Green. Staff reports from our managing director. They appear on pages 78 through 83. Matt, if you would please.
Any questions on the staff report for the commission, from the commissioners? I will like to point out, good work our communications staff did, at reporting a particular event. We did have a attenuator struck on I-94 back in May, and it was just a great way to raise awareness, to slow down, and when there's work occurring either on a work zone or maintenance project that we're accomplishing to users along the roadway. Fortunately, no one was hurt. It was just a piece of equipment that was damaged, but it just brings awareness to the situation, and she does a great job of that. Looking at turning a near miss into an education, so just continues to do great work, and we obviously are very active in project updates as well. A lot going on, but I won't steal any thunder from any of the reports that are coming. So I will like to invite Brent Schlack back up to report for the engineering department.
Thanks, Matt. Brent Schlack, Director of Engineering. So I do have a few updates. And then I did invite our project manager, our senior project manager for traffic and safety, Michelle Ford here, because we have a video here at the end trying to show. So just some updates before the video. North Territorial and Dexter Town Hall, that roadway is now opened. We had our final walkthrough with MDOT, and we're beginning that process to close that project out. North Territorial, Webster Church, which actually that's another safety project, which is North Territorial between Webster Church and Mast. And we're mainly focusing on the intersection there of Webster Church. That project is coming to a close here, hopefully in a couple of weeks, but we shifted traffic from to the north side and the northern lanes so that they could work on that. I think I'm getting mixed up on what. So we finished work on the southern half, or on the so we shifted traffic onto, oh geez.
North side.
North side, yeah,
Yep.
there we go. I
The
had it
great
written.
side.
I know, I'm like
Oh.
getting mixed up in my mind.
They're working
So-
on the north side, traffic's on the south side.
Yes, there we go.
Now.
Now,
Thank
And
you.
previously it was just the reverse.
It was the reverse,
Got it.
But it
correct.
was never a full closure.
Yeah.
All right.
only on
Correct.
Webster
And it's
Church,
operated by temporary traffic.
full
signals.
closure on Webster Church.
Correct,
Ah,
yeah, Webster
okay.
Church cannot get through. But they're finalizing that work now, and hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have that
Okay.
opened all back up. Miller and Zeeb, that roundabout is now opened, and we're scheduling the final walkthrough with that.
It's beautiful. It's really nice.
It is really nice, yes, thank you. Our countywide HMA paving, so here in River Drive, that roadway is now paved. And we're substantially complete because we still have some pavement marking that we need to do. But the pavement's down. They are out on Schneider Road, between Austin and Pleasant Lake.
Mhm.
This is an overlay, and traffic's being maintained on that roadway. Also, part of our paving, Dixboro Road between Plymouth and M14. That one is being pulverized, so that's going to be crushed, and they're in that pulverization right now. That roadway is closed due to that operation, and we're hoping by the end of next week that will have that paved and reopened. Whitaker and Willis, so that was initially closed for DTE to perform their utility work, and I'm happy to report that they successfully completed their work, And now we're on to our contractor is now working on the construction of that. And we're looking at hopefully a mid-August completion for that project. Gettys and Harris, that's a traffic signal project that's being performed by our own crews. That one, we're working on trying to get that signal up and operational. We're hoping we got another couple of weeks of work there. Then we'll put that signal in the flash to become to have people become aware of that traffic signal. So we're a couple of weeks out for that one. And then on to our border. So the bridge was set, and I got a video here, and they're working on the boardwalks and the bridge approaches to prepare for the paving of that. And again, I brought Michelle in. Michelle, I don't know if you want to come up and introduce yourself. Sure.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Ford. I'm the Senior Project Manager of Traffic and Safety. I've been the project manager for this project for the last 5+ years. This is one of our longer projects.
Wow.
So this was a major milestone for us to get this bridge set.
Yeah, and I have to thank Alan Squire. He actually went out with our drone and he flew this and took these videos, and then Tiffany Oliphant, she was the one that compiled all of it and created the video here. So thanks to Tiffany and to Alan for their work on this.
So this.
Is it not showing? Oh.
So the video is, we have a 200-foot prefabricated steel bridge. It was made in Minnesota and brought over in 4 pieces that were put together here on site. And then we have the largest crane that any of us had ever seen. Pulling this, one of the things being close to the railroad tracks is Amtrak required the crane to be able to lift 150% of the load, which is a little bit more than we normally would require. And it made the really big crane requirement. And you see there's that is a wetlands area. So we had our Eagle permit, and we had to put down crane mats and things that'll all be restored when we're finished. And just kind of a interesting fun fact, over on the side, just at the edge of the river there, you can see some orange snow fence. We have an endangered plant there that we had to go in before it started, and we counted all the stems. And when we're finished, they're gonna go back and count stems, and we're hoping that there's more stems than we started with. But that snow fence is there to protect that area. We've done a great job staying away from water willow, and we should be good to go.
Water willow?
Water willow is what it is.
I would like to point out, there are so many complexities when you're dealing with projects adjacent to natural features such as the Huron River. And Michelle has done a masterful job at working through all these complexities and leading this effort over the course of the last 5 years. So much to be proud of. Thank you very much for your efforts.
You're welcome. It's been a fun and interesting project that I'm really happy it's almost done.
So you're a resident expert, so when the next one comes along,
Oh,
you,
we're already at to work on the next one. The next one will have 2 bridges over the Huron River. So
Yeah.
that is in preliminary design stages, right?
and you're working on both of those?
I.
She's working on
I'm
handing it off.
hoping to
Yes, we're hoping to pass that on.
Michelle.
He has other responsibilities now, and
Did somebody else do that?
there are a lot of talented folks in the engineering
Yes,
department.
absolutely.
So
Okay, so you got our video going.
the other
So-
complexity is,
Commissioner McCollum, do you have a
Oh, I
question?
just
Yeah.
was wondering, is this video, wonderful video, is that shared with the Parks and Rec?
Yes, they actually already have it. I've
Oh, they
uploaded
already have
everything.
it?
Yep, they certainly do.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Haven't shown it to us.
So
Okay.
this is the video, and this will show this massive
Well,
crane.
these people work really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, operation, it's funny, when we were out there, you didn't see how slow. It took 45 minutes to an hour for us to do this turn and place it. Which as I said, it was very uneventful, which is just how you want a bridge erection to go.
So they had to twirl it? They had to.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I asked them, why did you do that? And it was because it had been setting in the correct orientation, they couldn't have put the crane out far enough to extend it beyond and pull it
Oh.
back. So it was, once you extend the crane out, your lifting capacity decreases. And
Yeah.
so they had to be able to keep the boom up, and so they had to spin it in order to accomplish that.
You can see how close it is, particularly that shot,
Yeah.
to the railroad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
we-
railroad is very close, and that permitting process is another adventure.
Yes,
Yes.
and for this one, we benefited from the fact that there is other train maintenance going on farther up the track, so we had a longer time between trains. So this was about 9:30 in the morning. The first train of the day went by, you gotta wait, I don't know, it's half hour, they give you clearance. And then we had until about 6 PM to get it done, but we were done by 10:30, so.
And then the storms rolled in.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was
Lots
the
of
day the
lightning.
storms rolled in. so.
Yeah.
Right.
I see
Any
you've got
questions on that?
One thing to,
boats.
one thing to also note is, we're used to doing traffic control for our roadways. In this instance, we had to put traffic control also within the river. Cause we had to close the river for when this operation took place.
Yes, and we had been working with Skip's Livery and Huron-Clinton Metro Parks as well as Washtenaw County Parks and Rec. So Peter Sanderson from Washtenaw County Parks was up there on the wall area with me with the walkie-talkie, and HCMA folks were at the entry points to make sure no one was putting canoes in the water. The little boat that's there is actually from our contractor. That was not a
Visitor.
private citizen or anything. So yeah, we worked closely with all of those. Once again, that worked well. On Wednesday, Skips was closed. They had no one coming down the river that day, through their operation. So yeah, once we kind of knew a window, we said, okay, month of June. And we started to pull it in for them so they didn't book like corporate events or things like that and then have to change it. So it all, like I said, went really smoothly, very uneventful. It was,
It takes a tremendous amount of coordination.
Yeah.
yes, there was a
right.
lot of coordination. There were, there were contractors, subcontractors, like I said, Parks and Rec, Washtenaw County Parks, HCMA, the railroad was there. There were lots of people there, so.
Was this operating engineers that ran the crane? Who?
McNally Nimmergood was the crane operator, and LJ Construction is our prime contractor who did the rest of it. They,
So when you subcontract for the crane company, they bring their own operators.
Ah,
oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, in fact, we asked, and that crane, being their largest crane, has a dedicated operator and he moves around. This really doesn't do it justice how large that crane was. They said typically it's used for windmills, like for repairs and building of windmills, because it's so tall.
how
So,
long was the boom? How? do you know?
we had it extended up over 100 feet, but I think it can go 180. So.
Can we watch it again, please?
Yeah, you can, yes.
I have real-time ones on the server, so if you want to sit for like an hour, you can sit and watch.
Yeah,
it.
right.
But I thought about you guys that morning because the weather was supposed to get not very.
Yes, we were
nice.
concerned, and so that they wanted to do it as early in the day as possible, and actually it was cloud covered, which helped us with our pictures and
Sure.
stuff.
I wanted to stop it at this, because it's real interesting to me. So they have to erect the crane whenever they are preparing to do a lift. And in order to put all the components on that big of a crane, you see the red crane in the background.
Oh, yeah.
They had to use that one to construct or put together the big crane.
The yellow
Yes.
crane.
They
Yeah.
used the red one to build the yellow one, yes.
Yep.
And it came in on multiple semi-trailers. There were, I don't remember how many, it was like 15 semis or something. It came in on, and then they had to park in another location while they waited for this operation, and they came back the next day and dismantled it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Green, I'm so fixated.
So the bridge
here.
was actually constructed on site where?
So this is, it was built in
Yeah.
Minnesota. It was delivered in 4 pieces. And so This is right along Huron River Drive, just kind of right across the street from Loch Alpine is where this is.
West of,
West of
Delhi.
Delhi, yes, between
Yes.
Delhi and, Loch Alpine Drive. So, yeah, and then they put the 4 pieces together. It takes about a half a day to put each piece together because there's hundreds of bolts. Put it in each connection, and then they have to be forked a certain way, and they have to be measured and all of that. It's a lot of.
And
Looks
those
like
were
an
put
engineer
together
job.
right there, right where they were doing the lift is where they can put all those sections
It
together.
was tight. We didn't have a lot of space.
Commissioner McCollum.
How did you find out about the endangered species?
So on any project that we do, we have to do an endangered species, I don't know, inspection or evaluation.
Evaluation, yeah. part of it,
And
Part of our NEPA or.
and
national-
it includes not only the animals, but there also are plant species. And on this particular project, we had a consultant doing that for us, and the water willow was identified. And so then, once it's identified, there's a whole process then, okay, what are you gonna do about it? And like I said, we did a survey to do a pre-construction condition, and then we'll do a construction condition. That's another thing, the Huron River is also known for endangered mussels. And so that is why we have a freestanding bridge, and there's no, you see, we did not touch the water in any of this construction. Our abutments are outside the banks of the river. And so we did not have to do a mussel survey for this particular because we were not going into the water. But I just thought of it because on the next segment up, we did have to do a mussel survey, and that's been done, and we're all set. And they had to relocate mussels. We'll have to do afterwards to make sure that those survived their relocation. And so the water willow will do an evaluation. And I'm, like I said, we've stayed away from it, so I'm hoping we're all good. If not, there's a mitigation plan if there's any disturbance, but I think that we've done a really good job staying.
as part of the design process, and this happened probably 5 years ago, you meet on site with representatives from Eagle. And they oftentimes will, hey, they'll point out these things like mussels are concerned, water willow, other things that
Yeah.
they'll point out, hey, you're gonna need to span this entire bank full width, and the span is over 200 feet, correct?
No, the span, the
The bridge span?
bridge is 200 feet. So our bank full, I think there was 180. You have to go
Okay.
outside your bank full width. And, you know, we kind of chuckled because you can see that the railroad bridge is narrower than that. But they've been told if they were ever replace it, that they would need to expand it as well.
The idea being during wet weather events, when the river is cresting at the high elevation, you want your abutments beyond that so that you don't have to worry about the power of water eroding what's holding up the bridge.
And then we also won't cause flooding upstream because
Not
it's
constraining it,
constricted,
yeah.
you know, by our bridge.
So the cost of the bridge alone for this $4 million project was roughly.
Around $1 million. There's 2 pay items. It's a, fabrication. It's like when it's delivered, and then there's an erection item. So the 2 of them together are about $1 million.
On top of the 4 million or?
No,
as
that's
part-
part of
included
it.
within, but actually this is a $5 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Commissioner Green.
So how high above water is the bridge?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't know.
It's definitely higher than the railroad.
Yeah.
It is. I don't remember. It's. I can't remember. I'm
It
sorry.
will
Back
not
down
have
that.
an impact to the use of the river.
No, you'll be able, you won't have to lay down in your kayak or anything. You'll be able to,
Won't hit your head.
Yeah.
no, you'll be able to go right.
It's a great
through.
question. Water
It is,
clearance
yeah.
is one of concern, but being next to the railroad bridge, we're higher than the
Right.
railroad bridge, but
And
we can get you that number.
One of the other permits that we have to get for a project like this is because Huron River is a natural river. We had to get a natural river permit. One of their concerns is in the beauty of the river. And so when we do these crossings, they like us to be as close to an existing structure as possible so that you're not causing another obstruction in the view of the river or whatever. So that's why we're adjacent to this railroad crossing. Because that's a part of the natural river permit is they like that.
Well, this was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that
Alright.
concludes the engineering report
Alright.
unless there's any questions.
Thanks, Michelle.
Michelle.
Congratulations. Is there gonna be a plaque with your name on it somewhere, I hope? You get to autograph one of the beams?
Madam Chair.
And, oh,
one
I'm
quick-
sorry, Commissioner Green.
You mentioned a light at the intersection of Harris and Geddes. Is there one there now? Because I don't recall.
No, there's not. Well, they're constructing one. There was center left turn lanes at that intersection and it met warrants for a traffic signal. And so we had to put it in our budget to have our crews construct and install a traffic signal at that intersection.
So is that going to be a flashing red light or?
It'll be a normal red, yellow, green traffic
Oh,
signal.
really?
Yeah, we'll flash it for like a week for people to get used to seeing that traffic signal, but it'll be just a normal red, yellow, green traffic signal.
Okay.
That was funded via MTF.
MPF. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brent.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, hard to top that, Mr. Labe.
Yeah. Okay, Adam, you're on.
Adam Lake, Director of Operations. No, that'll be all right. We don't thankfully have to pick up things that big, so cranes are a little smaller. For the operations update today, just a little update on the seal coat program initially. We've shifted gears here a little bit. We're doing some fog seal with these forecasted high temperatures, because at temperatures like this, it's not ideal for basically setup curing for this chip seal itself to kind of settle down a little bit and the stones to get rolled in. It tends to want to track a little bit, you kind of bleed down the road. So we kind of step back and we're starting to fog seal a little bit. So the crew's on Wired Road today, try to seal that up. When you have a little bit of wind like we do today, and obviously pretty intense sun, it helps a little bit kind of break the water out of the fog seal that we use. So that's that top coat we put on top after we finish the chip seal portion. So crew's doing that, and then next week it's supposed to calm down a little bit temperature wise, so then we'll go back to chip seal, and probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, weather permitting, we should be able to wrap up the program. And then the countywide local road program kind of continues. You know, it's forestry work, drainage work, and preparation to haul some stone and spread aggregate on these roads here later in the summer. And that's kind of throughout the county, wherever we can reserve enough bodies between surface maintenance, so dust control, and then supplementing the seal coat program. We have a handful of drivers left and a couple operators left that are using our grade alls to kind of keep things moving. Minor forestry work, but nonetheless forestry to kind of prep for some of these jobs so we can get the material hauled to the projects. And then Matt and I were talking, and he requested talk a little bit about mowing. This season, we're not quite sure. We're attributing most of the intense growing to the little bit of early season humidity and in a very light winter with only a little bit of freeze time is what we're kind of attributing it to. That the grass seems to be like actually stronger this year and growing straight. We've seen, I took notes on Pleasant Lake Road, for example, at the Chevron sign. So those are the signs to delineate a corner that you're approaching on a high-speed road. The grass was growing just straight up to the bottom of the sign. And normally, you know, it grows after a while, and July, August starts to lay over.
Falls over.
And local roads, it started falling a little bit. The grass isn't as stalky this year, but nonetheless, it's kind of added another wrinkle into the program this year. So the contractor's still moving along, making good pace, essentially in the middle of the county, and then also working on the state trunk line system as well. So kind of sharing between that. But it's kind of prompted some conversation. We initially tried a few years ago to make the mowing program a little more robust. So we're going to bring those conversations back up with our contractor and try to basically improve our contract a little bit to where we could mow more frequently throughout the season, or start the local road system and the primary road system maybe earlier in the year prior to the MDOT system. Trying to plan for these seasons where we get a little bit of kind of I don't want to say out of season, but a little bit stronger grow season where it affects us a little bit more because the communications team's been getting calls and calls and calls. And we're still mowing the normal schedule we mow at, but the grasses and weeds are growing a lot faster than our normal.
Just look at the corn. Some of that corn is already
Yeah,
up
it's hip
past
height.
my knees.
Yeah, it's getting, it's
It's
approaching
just
hip height in some areas.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we just, having some, some farmers on our team, it's kind of easy to study it a little bit with them, but
Yeah.
I mean, we had humidity earlier in the year, early in the season, the grow season. So that usually flares up things to grow. So kind of attributing that, but we also, as we all know, had a little bit of an odd winter. There wasn't a good freeze to kind of slow stuff down. So combine those two together, we got quite the jungle going. So we are actively taking care of that. But if you do field any concerns, please get the information to me, forward the constituent to me, and we'll explain that to them and at least let them know that we are mowing and, we're going to kind of bolster our program a little bit here in the future. To try
So
to
they should
prevent that.
report it through the,
You can honestly send them to me, C-Click Fix. However, if you guys come about it, obviously the communications team usually just puts C-Click Fix in.
okay.
We try to address that with our mowers as well. We have 6 mowers, our boom mowers that we've been using occasionally when we have staff available. But for the most part, the superintendents usually catch wind of it through the communications team. And then they'll kind of address, situations and areas. If we're having a site distance issue, we go out and try to mow it in the morning if we can with our equipment. And then the contractor continues on doing their work. But thankfully, they're in the middle of the county, kind of working in theory east and then back west, and they'll kind of split the county then and work the top and the bottom at the same time. So, and we usually just invert that every year. So essentially one part of the county gets it first, and then the next year another part of the county, and try to share it a little bit. But this year, Mother Nature was just well ahead of us. With that being said, that's all I had really update wise. If there are any questions, I can field those, and if not, carry on.
I'm concerned about our crews and how hot it is and what. are we
Yeah,
doing
so-
To make sure we don't lose
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, so obviously we have a lot of water jugs and everything that we're able to fill for the crew. We have, drink mixes or just plain water and ice that we kind of send out of the shop every morning, and they're welcome to come up and refill as when they need. That usually goes out with the seal coat group. Jason, the foreman for the heavy equipment crews, who kind of oversees that seal coat program. He said they were only going through about 1 jug a week, or excuse me, 1 jug a day, which is about 5 gallons a day, last week. Now this week, I'm sure they're probably going through the drink mix and,
Yeah.
the water. But the drink mix is good for the early part of the day, but I think it starts at you because it's kind of sugary on purpose. And so I think towards the end of the day, I don't think it gets a little too sweet. So I think they kind of get off towards water towards the latter half of the day. But yeah, so just keeping an eye on everybody. We're trying not to do anything too laborious, with fog seal, it's more traffic control. So it's just standing and flagging as opposed to raking and brooming and sweeping, things like that. The rest of the work is in a truck.
I saw one of the, thank you, Chair. I saw one of the pictures where they had, like shading.
Oh,
in
the
truck.
ad advertisement
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, does that come with the truck or you have to order that separately?
So for us, our heavy trucks or most of our equipment come with like a normal like sun visor you'd see in a car. They're usually just a little bigger and you can adjust them a little bit different. A lot of our equipment will have a little bit of tint in the cab glass because they're kind of like bubbles that you're sitting in. So they come tinted a little bit for us. And then I think, matter of fact, I think everything we have has air conditioning now. So that helps us a little bit. And then we just try to keep that wind flow. Some of the heavy trucks, we add fans in the cab just to move the conditioned air around even more. So that's kind of how we shade ourselves with it. But most of the time we try to keep moving a little bit to get a little bit of air through the cab with us.
I think you were referring to the
Yeah,
picture,
they
right, where there
were-
were actually.
they were not
canopies.
in
The
a
canopy,
cab.
you're talking about probably a paver.
That was paper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
paper.
Yeah, we only have a handful of the piece of equipment that don't have an actual cab. So our chip spreader would be one for the seal coat program, and we have actually a canopy built over the entire unit where all the people are, except for the one gentleman that stands up front. And we have an umbrella that we can put up for him, but most of the time, as the load runs through the truck or through the unit, he'll just step back to the shade and kind of keep moving. But they get good breeze up there. They're about 6-8 feet off the ground, and so they get a little bit of breeze that
Air
helps them.
moves.
But we're very lucky to have air conditioning in most of our units, so. It's definitely improved. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that picture there is
there.
what you see.
Thanks, Tiffany.
So the reason they build units like that and they have just the umbrellas that are over kind of where someone's gonna be standing, because you couldn't really put a cab or a canopy over that, because there's a lot of moving parts. So the two gentlemen standing on the bottom part that's closest to the asphalt, that actually hydraulically goes up and down. That's referred to as the screed. So that's the part that kind of smooths out the asphalt as they're putting it in. So that moves up and down so much, you wouldn't be able to have a cab because it all hinges up. And then it travels up about 3 or 4 feet in the air. So when they load it on the trucks to transport it, so it would all kind of blend together. And then the operator inevitably sets up on top, which this operator is kind of running from the left side. You can run on either side of those pieces of equipment, and they just take their umbrella with them. And the good thing with those, you see how they kind of cantilever around. What they do is you give you an opportunity to kind of wherever the sun's coming from, and then you can cast a shade or a shadow kind of out a little further. Similar to like what you would do on your back porch or something, where you kind of put the umbrella in the way of the sun a little bit. It's old fashioned way of doing it, but it works really good. And then you still get some wind flow, so you're not restricted by kind of sitting inside a shield. So, but nonetheless, those machines get pretty warm. That's why you see a lot of those gentlemen will wear long sleeves too, because the sweat cools them down a little bit. So.
That's Cadillac Asphalt. They're our contractor that we hire for our paving program.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So they're working with Mr. Burnbeck and Felix out there. I think that was maybe Saturday or something. I think when they're paving.
Wow. Any questions for Adam?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
And Mr. Ackerman, finance report.
Good afternoon, Board. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance. I also don't have any cool videos like Brent shared. Maybe I could do a time lapse of updating the budget documents or something. That'd be exciting,
Get
right?
ready for the audit. That's another big one, right?
Right, right. So I wanted to start my report with just a couple comments about the working session this morning, and really a compliment to Brent Schlack, Aaron Burkholz, and all of engineering. You know, as far as federal and state grants go, I put our agency up against any road commission as far as our competitiveness and the amount of grants that we've received. So it's quite impressive, and to get 60, 70, 80% of these projects funded is awesome, and that frees up money for other projects. So definitely kudos to engineering, and I continue to be impressed just by the level that they're able to get this funding. At times it even becomes problematic, and I'll explain. There's a provision in the Act 51 report that we have to spend 1% of MTF dollars on non-motorized projects. And I can recall, we do a better job now of actually planning for spending that 1%. But I can recall years ago sitting with engineering and saying, well, what about this project? Oh, well, there's federal aid here, so really there's no MTF dollars. And what about this non-motorized project that we have? Oh, well, we've got some money from the township and so on. And that almost was a problem, which is a good problem to have. Like I said, now we actually budget for it, and they have projects that are designated to meet those requirements. But kind of interesting that, you know, everything was kind of funded, and we were, you know, trying to figure out where we could find that we spent MTF to meet this requirement. So just thought I'd share that with you. So my focus right now is on the budget. We met as a leadership team and had a great discussion about potential changes for 2024. Also talking about 25 and 26 looking ahead. From that meeting, all of us had some homework to crunch some numbers and just kind of be prepared for our next meetings. But it's always a good, healthy discussion. Again, we have many needs, and you know, certainly not the funding for all the needs, but we do a good job, I think, of trying to prioritize. We have unfunded lists, but I think there's a good, healthy debate amongst the various departments. And so the next step is next week I'll be meeting individually with the department heads and various staff members, and we will talk in more detail as far as the budget's concerned, and just preparing for our working session in July. So that's kind of a main focus of mine for now.
Dan, on that subject of fund balance, I would like to point out, even with the York Township agreement, we were given an opportunity to do an investment, working with our partners at the township to invest in a primary road. That's a significant investment. It's over $250,000. One of the reasons why we do have a healthy fund balance is to take advantage of opportunities like this. So that's a conversation Dan and I had, and he felt very comfortable recommending this approval and eventually adjusting the budget during second quarter. So that was just one example of the many times that we talk about budget and the implications of, hey, there's an opportunity. Can we afford to do so? In this case, the answer was yes.
Yeah, Matt, thanks for pointing that out. And also, I always appreciate when managing director or engineering asks my opinion on these things. And he's exactly right. You know, that's why you don't have a fund balance that is so low that you have to say no to these opportunities, or, you know, maybe you have to change some of your other priorities. But, you know, I said, absolutely. I felt we could afford this, and it made sense for the various reasons that were explained to you. And again, you know, just that's why I like our budgeting process and the targets that we try to hit and so on, so we can take advantage of these great opportunities.
So we didn't have to cut anything to partner with York.
That's correct.
And what's our fund, you'll tell us what our fund balance percentage is when we meet in July.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. So besides budgeting, I can't believe it, but we're working on second quarter reports. We've had our last payroll for the second quarter. Like, seems like the new year just started, and here we're halfway through.
Yep.
So yeah, it's crazy. Time just marches on. And PA 202, those are the reports that I have to provide to the state of Michigan for our pension and our health insurance. I've completed the preliminary numbers. Usually what I do is there's various numbers I get from various reports, and I complete the reports and I put it to the side for like a week or so, and then I revisit it just to make sure and double check all my numbers are good, and then submit it to the state. And I plan on doing that on Thursday. We have until the end of June to submit it, but I don't want to wait until that point. So hopefully then we submit that and we're done with that report for at least a little while. Yes. It's looking like our pension will be considered underfunded based on the criteria. Again, we received that grant last year, but the reporting is based on our most recent audit report, which I think we shared with the board. The MERS report tends to be a little bit behind. We're hoping to get that information within the next few weeks, and that would be our pension report as of 2023. So the information I use for PA 202 is the pension report as of 2022. Which we are still below the thresholds.
So the grant we received won't be reflected yet,
Correct.
is what you're
For
saying.
this
Okay.
report for PA 202.
Got it.
So that what that means is we probably would have to do a request for a waiver again, which I've shared with you. We're still waiting on that approval from the request from last October. So
Did they all go away for the summer?
I don't know. I may ask again, but again, I don't want to be too pushy, but it'd be nice to know that, you know, that the waiver was received and accepted, which it has been for the last several years. But apparently there's a backlog at the state level. So, and that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Commissioner Green.
The requirement that 1% of the MPF funds be set aside for non-motorized use, how new is that?
That's, I think, from the inception of Public Act 51, I believe. I don't know if that was an amendment to that, but I know it's as long as I've been here, so at least 30 years.
Oh, okay.
It's been a requirement that we've had to meet.
It's part of the Act 51 reporting. They look at a 10-year average, and ultimately it's based on your current MTF level. So for example, if our budget's 300 or 36 million, then we need to spend at least 360,000 on non-motorized. And that could be, an example is pedestrian signal work, sidewalk ramps, the pavement markings for bike lanes, things of that nature. And our engineering department usually, not usually, does track all those costs and provides that information to Dan so that he can submit the Act 51 report with those numbers. So we've been compliant over the last several years because it is a 10-year average, and we've overspent in a few years so that that we're not gonna dip below a threshold.
Right.
So that's not often talked about, but it's submitted every year as part of our Act 51 submittal.
Okay.
Mhm.
Too bad that 20% off the millage can't be attributed to this.
Agreed.
But anyway,
That's all I have.
great. No questions further? Thank you, Dan.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Dan. That concludes our reports.
All right. I will note that our next regular board meeting is July 2nd, just before the 4th of July at 1 o'clock. Our virtual chat sessions are every Wednesday from noon to 1. In June, we have Commissioner Smers tomorrow. Last I knew, he was going to be able to participate in that. And then on June 16th, it's Commissioner McCollum. Again, a reminder to arrange for a substitute if you're unavailable for your assigned chat date. And please advise us if you cannot attend any future Washtenaw County Road Commission board meeting, so I can make sure in collaboration, in consultation with Aaron and Matt, that we have quorum, which is the three of us. So having no further business to come before this board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burkholder.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.